Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It is Tuesday evening. It's a little after 9:30. We're going to talk really quickly about the forecast coming up and give it in two formats. So one will be for those of you folks that just want the quick and dirty, and then the other one's a little bit more on the science side. So we're trying something new this week, and so far the results have been pretty popular. So you guys seem to like this approach. So as long as you guys like it, we'll keep it going. Try to reach as many of you as I can, and I don't want many of you to just sign off because it's taken too long to get down to the answer that you need. I get it. You're busy. You got things to do. This is 2022. So hang in there with me. All right, so what we'll do is the first group is like about a 4-minute update, kind of a deal. And then the second half of it will be about 10 minutes worth of more detailed weather information if we're looking at a lot more maps and stuff. So hopefully I can get everybody covered in that approach. And looks like we're off and running, so everything looks good on my end. So let's get on with the program, shall we? So we've got some clouds out there. You may have even heard the sound of a little pitter-patter. That means some rain. Now, I barely got it. Here on my Tempest weather gauge, it says light down on the bottom right. It's a temperature of 66 degrees. If I blow up full screen, there it is, the word light. And I don't want light, I want heavy. So here's a look at the radar, though, real quick. Here across southern Oklahoma, and that's where some of the heavier showers are occurring, and also a little bit in Tulsa, some light showers. But here in Oklahoma City, we've got some really pathetic tiny little sprinkles moving through, and that's what I've seen so far. Most of the stuff passed just on the south side of the metro right around 5 o'clock, so on your drive time, unless you live on the south side of town, and you probably didn't see much. I saw a lot more sun than I wanted to see at that point in time, but que sera, sera. All right, so that said, let's get on with the business at hand. So we had some winds gusting once again today into the mid-40s, even around 50 in the Panhandle, so that continues, unfortunately. But temperatures this morning, if you missed my lunchtime live, we talked about it. We're down to the freezing point in some cases here in Creek County, northeast Oklahoma. So it was another cold morning for your plants, my goodness. But hey, look at tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures warming back into the 90s and 80s across the state, a little cooler to the north and east, but yeah, that says 96 down there in Lawton. Oh my goodness, we're talking about 100 degrees already? Woo, I hope not. That's a sign of things to come, though, if we don't start getting some rainfall around here. You know what I'm saying? Now, we'll be getting some more windy conditions overnight, starting to early tomorrow morning. So expect some wind gusts back into the 40s, near 50 again, especially over the western half of Oklahoma. Then the winds will calm down a bit in the second part of the day. Now, there is a risk of severe weather here, and the slight risk in yellow from the Storm Prediction Center. That does include a tornado risk outlined there, wind and hail. So pretty much your typical standard 3 categories of severe weather. Golf ball size hail at around 60-mile-per-hour winds, and yes, a possibility of a tornado or two with a couple of these supercell storms, both here in central Oklahoma and up into northeast Oklahoma as well. The severe weather risk is on the low side. It's not a moderate or high or anything like that because it's going to be kind of an isolated type of event, it looks like. So here's a look at your forecast in for tonight. Little showers that are out there now will continue to migrate to the east. A few more sprinkles overnight, moving in from west to east across the state. But other than that, anything heavy moves into Arkansas as far as rainfall goes, unfortunately. And then, as that little disturbance works its way by, we'll destabilize the atmosphere where the dry line is in the cold front here over central Oklahoma. So right now, the models really favor a pretty nasty thunderstorm going up in and around the Oklahoma City metro area with a helicity track to it, which means some large hail with it. And there is a possibility here, especially between, say, 6 and 8 o'clock, of a potential tornado with this. As that storm moves to the south and east. We'll have to watch that one. Now, the model does not produce any other storms, but I do expect we'll see a couple more storms than what was just shown there. Rainfall amounts, though, depending on, if you can get a track of that severe storm, you'll end up 1 to maybe 2 inches of rain in a very small area. The rest of us, of course, won't see much because we won't see any storm action. The rainfall that you see mostly on this map here is because of what happened in here today. Maybe moving on into tonight, tomorrow. All right, so let's take a look at, I believe we're just going to jump to your forecast site 'cause I think that's what I wanted to show you. So here it is. Whoa, close to 90 here in central Oklahoma. This is a new update from the model data. I hope we don't hit that 90. We'll be in the upper 80s though. It takes about 88, 89 degrees to break the cap, it looks like. 84 degrees for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Finally cool things down and get things more reasonable. Overnight lows into the 40s once we head into Monday and Tuesday, but it looks like no freezes. I don't foresee any frost or anything at this point in time, so let's hope that stays the same. Long range model we talked about a few days ago, which I put in my blog, did have us at another freeze for the state. I think right around the 1st of May. I have not looked to see if that has come back in the forecast, but that's the latest with that. All right, so that's it. That's your 5-minute weather update. For those of you folks, I got a split, got to go, got things to do, get to bed, put the kids to bed, whatever it may be. You are free to go. The rest of you, let's get on with some more detailed information, shall we? All right, because you know me, I like to get down to the dirty, and we'll tell you exactly why things happen the way they do. So let's do this right here. First off, this model has not yet come in. All right, so we'll come back to that here in a minute. Okay, so the upper levels of the atmosphere. So why are things going to happen the way it is tomorrow? So here's a look at the jet stream pattern. This little color in the middle over Oklahoma represents a little bit of lift. That's what's got going on right now. Now that first wave moves off to the east tonight into tomorrow morning. Another wave moves in across the state. Unfortunately, look at this. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it is across the eastern part of the state. It's coming in too soon. And then by the evening hours, it's moving now into Missouri and Arkansas. So what happens behind this little line of lift in the atmosphere? Well, what goes up, must come down. So in other words, this area here is sinking air, subsidence that comes in behind the shortwave trough. So what happens, you have to overcome this light compression of the air by going back the other way. Well, to go back the other way, we need those temperatures getting to the upper 80s to near 90 just to try to break that subsidence cap, that little layer. So that is why there's only going to be a couple of storms that fire tomorrow because of that factor alone. Now, if this little disturbance had come through late day, we'd be talking about a whole different story. All right, so that's the funny thing is, that's one example of this kind of stuff you can't see beyond 48 hours. It just doesn't happen because it's a timing thing. That's why you got to be careful when you get too specific on these type of forecasts of gloom and doom beyond 2 days, because too many things can change or sneak in there that you don't foresee. All right, so let's take a look here tomorrow morning. So there's our lift across the mid-levels of the atmosphere, around 700 millibars, a ton of it for Arkansas, Missouri. So congratulations, guys, you get more rain. Let's see, let's move on to the mid-afternoon. So there is the 4 o'clock window. So here is our first batch of lift that we circled earlier, moving out of the state, moving away. And this is lift along the dry line and kind of in the cold front area in this region. So this is where we would focus for the new potential for storms to develop. And so that lift intensifies between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So yes, it should be just enough to break the cap in a couple of areas. So that is why we should get some storms tomorrow, whereas sometimes certain similar setups yield us nothing. All right, so here's a look at how things progress tomorrow. With that shortwave moving through, it guides the surface winds from a southwest to northeastern fashion, and look how it shows the moisture. This is dew point values. So everything's kind of moving in a southwest to northeast fashion. Well, that then in turn brings in all this dry air out here and really dries out the western third of Oklahoma, really. And so what happens is we get to, let's just go to 4 o'clock. So I want 5 o'clock is what I want. All right, so 5 o'clock. We got a little area of low pressure here, which is key. And we have another secondary low pressure here, which is key. So what happens is these are two areas to really get those winds to come back into the area of low pressure. More of a southeast wind. That causes convergence, and that helps the thunderstorms that develop in that area to rotate a little bit better and potential to produce a tornado. So, and these were also just convergence area. Remember, so that everything that comes together can't go down the ground, it's got to go up. So these are little focusing mechanisms to help to overcome the subsidence that's coming down. So this is why we kind of have two favorite areas for get a couple of severe storms to develop in this region. And of course from here, you kind of got the dry line that sneaks in down like this. From here, we kind of have this little cold front deal that kind of comes in like this, and up here is probably a little warm front, so it hasn't really moved much. So this is kind of our surface pattern setup. So when you do see this on the map, you always watch kind of in this area of the front and the lows and the dry line for storms to develop. And so as we head into the 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, these winds down here, it'll be hard to see for you, I'll outline them. They start to turn more to the southeast, feeding in to that area of low pressure. Now that's a problem, because as we head into that time frame, a lot more ingredients come together for tornadic activity, which is why the storm may initially come off as some hail, but given some better ingredients about an hour or so later, could produce a tornado. So here's a look at the 5 o'clock hour, which does show cape and shear values. Good spread of the winds here, this little triangular shape, and a lot of instability. Cape values up here around 3,000, maybe 4,000. That's plenty of juice to get the storms going. So here's a look at the significant tornado parameter, and it is highest around the 4 o'clock hour in red here, south central, east central Oklahoma. Let's see, there's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, kind of expands in this region, and then also down here on just south and east of the metro. Now it'll get eaten away here with that storm that develops around town, so ignore that part. But point being is that the indices are there for a storm to take advantage of once it gets going. Now we do forecast a plot sounding for that particular area. Here in the metro, at first, I want to show you the big difference in just an hour. We have more of a southwest wind at the surface, and very light, probably about 10 knots, there's 15 knots, and a very high base. So your threat here is going to be for, and let me shrink this down so you can see it. There you go. Right here on the bottom box here, potential hazards, severe. So what that means is a severe thunderstorm. So not necessarily a tornadic storm at this point in time. Shear's a little weak and all that kind of stuff. Now all we got to do is go through an hour in time, and all of a sudden our shear increases, like triples. The profile gets a lot better in the atmosphere. Remember, we also have more of a southeast wind coming in about this time. So the profile now goes to tornado. And it's got a significant tornado at that, should it occur, and it has severe hail, and the analogs all the way up from baseball size to softball size hail, going back in time and comparing similar type setups. So that's some big hail with a couple of these supercells that will be developing here across central and northeastern Oklahoma. So if you're under the gun on one of those deals, that is the story. All right, let me see if that other model was in, because it was new coming in. It was slow, and it hadn't finished yet, because they're doing some work in the servers for the data today, and that's delaying all of the model data. So here is one of our other high-resolution CAM models, and it also produces my idea here, central northeast Oklahoma, near those areas of low pressures. There's a couple of supercells healthy that keeps going. Now they do die out. At least this one here comes in toward the Tulsa area, but this other one hangs on a little bit longer. But in general terms, they both should weaken every hour after daylight. So maybe like 9 o'clock that they're just if there's even one left, it's going to be just a shadow its former self kind of a deal. So that's kind of how that should go. So it's roughly a window from 5 to 8 where it would be this most intense as far as hail production, and then potential tornado production would be probably after 6, between there and about 7:30, 8 o'clock, probably somewhere in there, and then things start to diminish in that potential. So could that happen here in Oklahoma City? Well, certainly the hail, as soon as if that storm does develop on top of us, so we'll have that, and then depending on how fast it moves, and if the models are exactly right tonight on the ingredients and the timing, then the potential tornado threat wouldn't happen until I got outside of town, which is obviously some good news, but not good news for those that may be in its path. So we'll have to watch things carefully. So I will be planning on doing some broadcasts tomorrow evening to cover anything that does look like it's going to be tornadic. And then let's see, tomorrow at lunchtime, what am I doing? I might be able to do an update. If I do, it'll be a quick one in the car, kind of a deal, for about 5 minutes. So, and I'll just update you on what the newest data came in for that. Other than that, I think that's about it here for tonight. I can go through a couple of your questions and load those bad boys up. So let me do that here. Let's see. That's all good. By the way, thanks for checking in tonight on YouTube and on Twitter as well, guys. Appreciate that. And I always love the fact you guys have just multiple conversations going at the same time. And then you're always giving shout outs to Jody and Larry. They're my sidekicks in this whole deal. Without them, it'd just be me. You know how boring that would be? Nobody wants to see that. Okay, so let me see if I can make this happen and that my computer doesn't crash. I did that last night. If you guys remember last night, I was going to show you something neat. I told you, man, my computer's on its last leg. I got to build a new one. I wasn't kidding. I talked with one of the guys today, and they said, "Ooh, your processor, man, it's a little old for what we're trying to do." It's like, well, thanks for letting me know. That's not what I wanted to hear. So let's see. Ooh, already got a smart question from Bree. Man, let's see if this will pop up. You see what she just said? How's it sounding for Ada? I like it. You guys are so smart. Listen, you are the smartest weather people out there at all, because you're saying stuff that nobody else is going to know to say, or how to say, or what to ask for, and you guys are all over. That is awesome. I'm impressed. I really am. You guys are all backyard meteorologists. I'm loving it. All right, well, let's see here. First off, let me see if this model came in with that type of stuff. Oh, it did. Good. Okay, so we'll go down to like the Ada area. And we'll just step through time. So this is at 7 o'clock. So the storm would be approaching from the north and west, but still probably a little bit far away at this point. Your cap is starting to build in. Otherwise, you are favorable for a marginal tornado risk down here with the storm in that environment. Let's see what happens at oh, it's still at 24 hours? Come on. Or was that the one I said? No, that was, I guess, an hour before. Let me see. Yeah, that was 23 hours. Sorry. So that would be at 6 o'clock. All right, so then at 7 o'clock, your cap is starting to build in. Your LCLs are coming up. It's not conducive, not favorable for a tornado down there. And then at 8 o'clock, cap is pretty strong, so that storm would pretty much die out running into that environment. You'll still have some hail with it probably, but threat of a tornado would be pretty low. So there you go. So there's an example of how, oops, Ada looks. I'm sorry. I got so many things going on here. I was talking to myself. So let me go back. All right, so here's real quick. This is 6 o'clock. So this is where your cap is just now starting to build in. You still have a marginal tornado risk at that point in time down there if a storm were to move into that environment. But by 7, the cap is already building in quite strong. So if the storm is not already well established, it doesn't have a chance at all anymore. And your LCLs are coming up. And then we go to 8 o'clock. Same thing. Your cloud bases are really too high, and they'll be elevated. So it'll still be a hail maker. But that's about it before it dies off. So good question. But yeah, so that's it with that one. You guys are like, how's it looking for Okima? All right, so Jennifer. So I covered kind of south central, southeastern parts of the state. So let's see what kind of in the realms of the Tulsa area. Same kind of idea it should be, where the cap builds in. So let's see. Here is 6 o'clock and possible tornado hazard. Cap is just about to start building in. Oh, and there it is, building in around 7. Still marginal tornado hazard though, so still somewhat favorable if the storm is still rooted. And then after that at 8 o'clock, it still has a marginal tornado risk, and it's more favorable than it was in Ada, but the storm is going to have to be healthy, and it's already going to have to be producing a tornado to hang on in this environment. Otherwise, the cap is too strong, becomes elevated. So it's a good question. So that kind of goes what I was telling you about the windows of opportunity that we have. Really, by 8 o'clock, it's going to have to do something, because after that, it's just not as good. Robert, I see you. Well, Robert, I'm going to have to build an empire. So in other words, everything from the newest NVIDIA 3090 Ti, the newest Asus, what was it, Extreme Edition, that's just for starters. So when you're thinking about that, you're already knowing where I'm going, because it's going to last me for another, 8 years like this one did before it dies. So, and it's got to have all the newest, stuff on it, USBs and Type-Cs and all that jazz. But anyway, and those are all parts that are hard to get, and that's the problem I'm having. I'm having to sit here and wait because you just can't get that stuff yet. Okay, let me think here. What is the location of storms if it comes in early? So it won't come in early. It has to go by heating of the day. So the cap has to break, so it won't happen until after 5 o'clock. It's not going to be possible before then. And even if it did, it would happen still right now, pretty much as it looks now, from Stillwater to Oklahoma City. Those two areas are the best areas to see the cap break for those storms, kind of in that general vicinity. I came late to the show. Oh, no. Jamie, listen. Why are you late to the show? Why are you late to the party? I don't get it. You shouldn't be late to the party at all. But she is. She's late to the party. And we can't have that. So if you are late to the party, you need to get on my notification through your Facebook Messenger, because I send those out right before I go live, so you won't have an excuse. Conversely, you could sign up for my YouTube channel. Then you can tap the bell to get notified there. So, by the way, you guys on YouTube and you're watching this, just make sure you like the video, because apparently I'm finding out today that YouTube will bury me if you don't like the video. I don't want to get buried. So like the video for me. That way YouTube puts me back up on the top of the algorithm, heads up searches, etc., etc. I'm telling you, man, this social media is a game, and if you don't play by their rules, you make no progress. Let me just scroll through some more potential if a shower does form. So you would have a hail maker in the Moore area. Let's see, where is this exactly in the metro? Does Edmond have a risk? So yes, the models aren't going to be that good, especially this far out, 24 hours out. All they can do is give you the general area, and that does include Oklahoma County. So yeah, that could be the Edmond area, could be downtown Oklahoma City, could be the west side of town. And those type of answers you may not know until lunchtime, if you even know them at all. And then for sure you would know when the storm starts to develop, and then the development of that, and then you would know for sure. But that's what we call nowcasting, which means what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes based off of radar trends and satellite trends, kind of a deal. Let's see here. KML, I'm with you. 90, it's gross. What? Heather, my 34-month subscriber anniversary is tonight. Thanks for being here for me for so long. Wow, thank you for being so long on the subscriber deal. That's awesome. So appreciate your support. All right, let's see what else we got here. Scrolling through. All right, I'm just scrolling through all these Facebook comments all the way down to the bottom. I normally can't see them because I'm using a different deal now to try to go through them, so I can try to pick out some. There's so many, I just try to glance and try to answer what I can. Okay, Amy, what? Why are you late? I don't get it. Who said stop listening to read? Okay, so Justin wants to... Oops, that's not the one. Here we go. Justin, he wants to know... Everything's still working, right? Yeah, it's just my thing's not crawling for some reason. I'm afraid to press a button. I'm going to try and press a button. If it crashes, well, that's the way it is. Alright. Oh, it's not going to go. I don't get it, man. There's always some technical difficulties I got with this thing. That's okay. Let's see. Has the Euro model changed any for the weekend? I've got my hope up from Western Oklahoma. All right. Well, he's referring to our lunchtime discussion today, where the European model went gung-ho on rain on Saturday night and Sunday. Michael, yeah, I believe you'll be all right. I don't think you have to worry about it. Sherry, that is obviously a tongue-in-cheek type comment. It's a comment in the chaser industry, gorilla-sized hail. It just means really large hail, and we're talking over baseball size. So anytime somebody says gorilla-sized hail, what they mean is hail bigger than baseballs. And that's what the model data shows. You could have hail as large as 4.5 inches in diameter, compared to prior events that had a similar type atmospheric ingredient profile. Let's see, Michael, YouTube likes to notify me about 12 hours after your broadcast. I've already sent hate messages to them. That's awesome. I like that. Let's see. Oh, I see, CM. You were finishing laundry. All right. I'll let you get away with that. So those of you folks that are late and did miss it, so I'm going to wrap this up. But the good news is for you is that I'm doing this now in 2 different ways. I'm doing a very short version. It's like 4 or 5 minutes long, tops, with your forecast only. That's it. It goes right into it, everything. And then for those who want to stick around, I do the explanation. We go into more detail. We look at some data as to what, why, how, and all that kind of stuff. And then answer some of your questions. So I usually do that in the second half. So that's how I'm going to start splitting these up when I can. That way I can try to please everybody at the same time, which is, of course, hard to do. Brandy, yes, you did miss this. So big hail is in the forecast for a couple of supercells that develop tomorrow. One here around the metro, one probably around the Stillwater area. Everything moving to the southeast, and there will be potential for a tornado once they get very well developed. So I have to watch for that as well. All right, I think that's going to do it here for me. So I'm going to let you guys go here for tonight. I'll try to do a lunchtime live tomorrow, short one if I can. Otherwise, you know the deal. And then I'll be around. It looks like tornadoes will be occurring, and I'll be covering those for you live. And make sure you tell your friends and family about AT's weather so they can watch the live coverage and not get all worked up, and they can actually breathe easy. I can almost lull them to sleep. If I can lull someone to almost near sleep when there's a tornado happening, that's pretty relaxed storm coverage. So that's the goal. All right, you guys be good tonight, and we will talk again soon. Take care, everybody.